Hello, well with Halloween racing up against us, I thought I'd go through how to make some very easy witches or wizards outfits with hat and cape. These are really simple, made largely from bin liners and some floristry ribbon, cereal packets and bits and pieces. I'm going to go through those now. The first thing I'm going to do is start with the cape, and then I'm going to go on to making a hat, and then I'm going to finish it off with a devil's fork here. And then there is always the option, if you want to be a witch, of threading some branches onto a stick and making a broomstick. Okay, so on with the cape. First thing you want is a bin bag, plain simple. This is a value bin bag, and I've just stretched it out like that so that it's flat, and this is the closed end I have here. I'm going to take the closed end and just cut it to make a tube. So I'm going straight along where the seam is and just cutting through. Helps if I hold my scissors up the right way round, like that, all the way up, and I should then have a tube which I can open out. There we go. You see right through from one end to the other, stretch them right out. Now, if you have young children, mine are all about my height, so they need big, long capes, so I'm going to slice up one side here. But if you've got smaller children, you might find if you turn them lengthways, you can work with a double thickness and just the height of the bin bag like that. So it just depends on your child. But because mine are getting on a bit, I am going to cut portrait, if you like, portrait ways, right up my tube to make it double the length. So I'm snipping up here, and then I'm going to have one very wide cape. You don't have to be too exact on this. You can even fray the ends deliberately actually to make it look a bit more witch-like. There we go, all the way up, and then when you lie them out is twice the width, so you've got lots of expanse there. The next thing you want to do is measure out a piece of floristry ribbon. Now I've gone for purple for wizards and red for witches, so I'm a witch at the moment, but I'm going to make a wizard one now. And if you measure your floristry ribbon at the same length as your bin bag when it's stretched out, that should be about right. I've covered up my scissors, which isn't so clever. There we go. So all the way out, and give them a snip. Then if you lay the floristry ribbon about 10 centimetres in, because that is going to create the cuff on your cape there, so you want to leave a good gap between the ribbon and the top of the cape. And then when you've got them laid out, just ruche up one end. So this is going to be the collar end that needs to be ruched up. You'll start to see it coming together here, with the ribbon evenly spread out either side. So this is the loose cape end, and this is going to be the collar. So ruche them roughly into place, about the width of what you think is going to make a sensible collar, and then simply pop some staples through him to hold him into place. And what I tend to do is just go along and put the first few roughly where you think you want them to be with the gathers, and then go back and infill a few more staples just to keep it secure. So you see, I'm just putting a few in there to get a rough feel for it, and then you can go in and add a few more. That's my last staple in there, and that should hold it. And then if I hold it up, you'll see the effect where you've got a gathered collar with a nice purple rim, and that floats out into a cape. And if you want to, you can put some tears and bits in the bottom, or cut out some floristry ribbon pieces and make some little purple stars to go on the cape or on the hat. And speaking of hat, we're going to move on to the hat next. Now this is cunningly made from a cereal box and a bin bag to cover it. So I've got a nice empty box of shreddies here, and if you just slide your finger along the join, there's one I've just started there, just to open it up along the join, and there we go, one open cereal box. And from here, this is the clever bit, we need to grab both diagonal corners and just fold them into a cone shape. Now the sizing of your cone very much depends on your child's head, so this one's nice and big and fits me. But I have another one I've made here, which I've made much smaller, so too small for my head, but that will fit a little one's head. So just gauge the open large end by the size of your child's head. Don't worry that it's uneven at the bottom here, because we're going to trim that up in a minute. So I'm going with about there. Leave yourself a little hole at the top to get your staple down, and then you can start securing it into place. So in there, once you've got a staple in, it starts to take shape. Same at the bottom. Get a couple in so that you can feel you're in place, and then you can start to let go. Just going to see if I can get one more on that flappy corner there, see if I can get that one down. There we are. So I've got my cone, but he doesn't yet stand up and he's a little bit wobbly. So I'm just going to take a pair of scissors to him. And just literally snip round to give him a nice even bottom. There we go. Now he stands up. So the next thing I'm going to do is he needs a brim. So if you just make some snips into the bottom as deep as you want for your brim, all the way round, a little distance apart. You just want it wide enough to be able to push it up into a flap. Oh, it's a bit unlevel there, so let's snip that bit off. There we go. And then if you bend those up, that will make your brim, and you can see my hat is starting to take shape. Don't worry if you haven't got a brim all the way round. I'm making this for a slightly wider head again, which means I haven't got a brim all the way round, but don't worry because the bin liner can fill in the gaps. So on a smaller head shape you'll find that the cereal box fills it all the way round, but it's not an issue if it doesn't. So there we go, that's that one. Next, to transform it from an empty cereal box into a witch's or wizard's hat, we're back with the bin liner again. Now this time we need to open it up but not cut it, all done in one simple movement. You can find the end of your bin bag. No, that's my closed end. There we are. So open up your bin bag, and you want to find a top corner and press the corner of your hat into the corner there. There we go. You can start to see now what we're up to. And then all I've done is fold all the excess bag into the middle. There we go, just fold him all into the middle. You can play around with him to get him just right, and if you've got a lot of excess you can even just pop a staple in him to keep him in place. And fold the excess into the middle. Remember to fold back out again your brim, and then any bits that didn't quite form a brim you can just leave a little bit of bag out. That's my area that didn't quite have a brim, so I'm just going to leave a piece of bag out there. Next you want your chosen colour of floristry ribbon, just enough to go around him. Make a snip and then simply place him round above your brim and fix him with a staple. And there we are. You find if you put the flat side of the staple against the hat, then you can get your brim quite nice and tight on there. There we are. There's one wizard's hat. We are now going from making hats and capes to finishing our outfit with a fork. So what we need for this, all fairly straightforward. I'm starting off with a cereal box again, and onto there I've just drawn a fork shape. There is a downloadable fork on the blog post for this, so if you're not sure on drawing the fork, then do download that. I've already got one, so I drew round it, cut him out, just simply round there with little ones, and we've used this with our little guest staying over the last couple of weeks. I've tended, if they're very young and the scissor control's not so good, I've tended to cut the templates out ready for them and then give them the cut out shapes just to paint themselves. So when you've cut him out properly, paint them, and you'll find the paint actually sticks on pretty well both sides and actually gives it a little bit more structure as well. So the children from any age quite enjoy doing the painting there. And then find yourself a nice long stick. That was one off a beech tree. This one is one of our bamboos off our bamboo plant. And then literally just put yourself a couple of holes just with a pair of scissors, sticking them up there to make a hole, one in the base and one up in the fork, and then pop your stick up through one, back through the other, gives your fork a little bit of a bend, and there he is. Pull him up through, push him back round the other side, and there, your outfit is complete. Few extra ideas, along with popping some shapes, some autumn leaves or some bits of floristry ribbon as stars on the capes. You could paint some flames onto your fork, or even just grab some little twigs and push them all round, and then your witches can carry a broomstick instead.